Would the world be safer with Donald Trump in charge of the White House? We're going to be taking your calls on this. 0207 862 2222. Trump made the claim after Iran launched missiles at Israel on Tuesday. Let me just show you. He's put out a statement, absolute classic Trump statement. We should just take a moment on this. So Trump Vance, statement from President. They still call themselves president if they've stood down or been not been re-elected. So the world is on fire and spiraling out of control. We can all agree with that. We've no leadership, no one running the country. We have a non-existent president in Joe Biden, completely absent Vice President Kamala, who's too busy fundraising. And then she says, in San Francisco, a city which she and Gavin Newsom, this is Newsom, who's the governor of California, totally destroyed. Okay, so this is the attack here on the Democrats. Then he says, Iran was in total check. When I was president, they were starved of cash, they were contained. Kamala flooded them with American cash, and ever since then they've been exporting terror. And then he says, this is the key bit we're discussing, under President Trump we had no war in the Middle East or Europe, we had harmony in Asia, no Afghanistan catastrophe, blah, 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 lots of capital letters. And Iran desperately want Kamala to be president because they can take advantage. And he also says, if I was in charge October the 7th, the massacre of young Israelis wouldn't have happened. Wow. Even by his standards, Yasmin, that is quite a statement, that, isn't it?
It's really frightening, because what he's actually saying is, let me make one other point before we go to Trump. In the last 48 hours, I've been absolutely shocked at the way the West, the EU, our country, and the US has been talking, okay? Iran is evil. Iran is attacking Israel. Who started absolutely creating the inferno that is now happening in the Middle East? It was Israel. The trouble with Trump is he has been...
Israel,
he's been pro-Israel. No, sorry.
No,
the
but I think,
7th of October happened. It was a horrible thing. What Israel has done to Palestinians, to the Lebanon, has not been an issue.
All right, but hang on, just
totally,
before you've...
sorry, I have to say...
You skipped over Trump here. We're talking about Trump. Can I show you something? Wait, just a second. I'm coming to Trump. He's also used similar messaging in his campaign videos.
Like us, China also saw their weakness. So did Putin. Then he invaded Ukraine. Hamas saw Harris' anti-Israel statements and will use it as a green light to keep murdering Israelis. And Iran thinks Harris is so incompetent. New intel shows they're trying to help Harris win the election. America doesn't need another TikTok performer. We need the strength that will protect us.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
Okay, Yasmin.
No, he will, in his worldview, Israel will be allowed to do whatever Israel likes, the West will do whatever the West likes, and the rest of us, of the third world and the North and the South, will have to suck it up.
Wouldn't you, watching that ad, vote for him?
Well, there will be some, of course.
But wouldn't you, if you saw that ad?
No, of course not. I would not vote for this man.
Would you not be tempted?
No, of course not. It's full of lies. And I don't trust Biden. And I'm not even sure I trust Harris to do the right thing for Palestinians. I do not. We are arming Israel, and he's going to be... Do you remember he wanted to move the embassy to Jerusalem? And that world that he wants to preserve will be the unmaking of the world order.
Geoff, but the only question here is whether, however much you may not like Trump, we will be safer with Trump in the White House.
Safer in what sense?
Safer in the sense that you don't go into a house if it says dangerous dog, even if they don't have a dog.
You think Russia and China will let this happen and carry on?
Well,
just letting America rule?
If we just anchor it back to his original social media post, it was the usual mix of absolute hysteria, some lies, but one or two things that do land, the same as that attack advert. And it's fair to say at this point that Biden is ineffective. We saw him in that debate. There have been legitimate questions about his ability to govern and make decisions since. Kamala Harris is distracted. She's on the campaign trail, which, let's be clear, if Trump was president, that would be the same for him now. But both those things are in isolation true. And I suppose in terms of his enemies, the thing that you said about dangerous dog, there's real resonance in that because he's unpredictable. The truth is Donald Trump doesn't know what he's going to do next, so how can his enemies? Now, that doesn't necessarily make the world a safer place, but I do wonder if it would give some of the more hostile, certainly leaders in our world, a bit more pause for thought.
Dave in Lancaster, do you think we'd be safer with Trump because of the Rottweiler argument that you just don't go near a house where there's a dangerous dog?
I definitely think we'll be safer with Trump. Putin would never have gone into Ukraine, and you've got the Irans of this world and the North Koreas, and these people need stopping.
Is it when you say he wouldn't have gone into Ukraine? Trump is seen as quite pro-Putin. He likes strong men.
Yeah,
he might have waved him through.
Sorry?
Trump might have waved Putin through to Ukraine.
I very much doubt it. And the other thing, I'm afraid, that has to be said, radical Islam is a massive problem in this world. When Al-Qaeda, when 9/11 happened, a spokesman for Al-Qaeda went on TV all over the world and said, until the whole world is Muslim, we are going to die. And
okay,
that's ridiculous.
Sorry, don't be triggered, because I want to just keep it on Trump. Stay there, Dave. Phil in East Yorkshire, you disagree with Dave?
100%.
Tell him why.
I think wars happen not because of who is in charge. I think it's ridiculous to think that they went to war because Trump is not in power. It's got nothing to do with that at all. So I think it's ridiculous.
We're talking Middle East here, right? Are we?
Yeah.
Okay.
And Putin as well in Ukraine. But I think it's Trump who makes things worse. He's not a good diplomat. He cannot negotiate.
That's true.
He hasn't got what it takes to understand both sides.
So Dave, Trump made it worse.
Trump made it worse. No, I don't believe Trump made it worse. It's there. The ideology is there. It's been going on for thousands of years. It's starting to move forward. We're accepting refugees from all those parts of the world. A man in 1968, he made a statement in Parliament. And if you read it, it's true to the letter. The only problem with Enoch Powell...
He's talking about Enoch Powell, isn't he? Yeah.
No, I'm sorry.
Okay, now you go... Okay, Dave, just...
I will not let your racism pour out in this way, okay? All right? You've insulted my faith. The danger today is not Muslims, it's Israel, it's America, it's Russia. It's Russia. Russia is not led by Islamists. So stop it.
Islam is a threat to this world. Radical
no,
Islam, not
absolutely not.
He's saying radical. He's saying is Islamism, the sort of distortion of it.
Oh, ridiculous. Is Russia Islam?
That's a good point, Dave.
Russia's not. It's just a different point with Russia.
Russia's anti-Islam. Russia backs down.
What Russia is doing...
Dave, you've taken us off base. Thank you. But we are going back to our topic, if you don't mind, because it's our show here. it's Trump. Is the world going to be safer with Trump? 0207 862 2222. Oh, OK, we'll take a break and then we'll get more calls, all right? More calls on this now. Would the world be safer with Trump? Wow, we're having a debate here. 0207 862 2222. Maria in London, hello.
Good morning.
What do you think? Will we be safer if he gets back in?
Well, I don't like him one little bit, but I think that's a possibility only because all the other despots around the world, Korea, China, Russia, they're all got the same temperament. They're all narcissistic and they understand each other to the extent that I think, for instance, Putin will say, yeah, I will press that little thing. And, the red button if I need to. And I think Donald Trump understands that, and they understand that about each other. So they would all kind of step back from maybe doing certain things because of who the person is, i.e. Donald Trump.
Let me show you something. Let me show you the last paragraph of his statement, which I think will probably send Yasmin up the wall. So he says, if I was in charge, October the 7th never happens, the massacre off the Gaza Strip. Russia, Ukraine, never happens. Afghanistan, botched withdrawal, never happens. Inflation never happens. If I win, we will have peace in the world again. If Kamala gets 4 more years, the world goes up in smoke. It's as clear as that, Maria. What do you think?
No, nonsense. I think, the world is just the world. And if it's on a certain trajectory, he does not dictate to Putin or anybody else what is going to happen. If they want to, send in ammunition or send in troops on the ground to wherever, Trump is not going to be able to stop it. I don't care who he is, right? Because what I'm saying, they are just like him.
Jeff
If he
disagrees with
when
that.
he wants to go somewhere, if he wants to go into Iraq, who's going to stop him?
If Putin does,
think, though,
You know,
you
he's
made
not going to care.
all right,
I think
hang on.
you made an interesting point originally about them understanding each other. There is a sort of weird psychotic logic to the way that they operate. And remember, I think it was 2017 when Syria was happening. Assad crossed the red line, and then Trump bombed an airfield, which certainly took Putin by surprise and gave him pause for thought. Now, I'm not saying all those fanciful claims of all the things that would have happened, like he's some sort of Avengers superhero. I'm not sure about all of that. But unpredictability is definitely a factor.
Thanks, Maria. I've just finished reading a book by Bob Woodward, the famous investigative reporter who ended up, he was doing a biography of Trump. Trump tried to help, and Trump ended up on the phone to him 20 times. And Woodward recorded all the calls with Trump's knowledge. And actually on the audiobook, he just plays all the calls. And one of the things that's interesting about Trump and the North Korean leader, clearly Trump wanted to have a bit of a show, go over, have a big story.
They had a love-in.
Well, they did, but after that, Trump lost interest. But Trump says, I told him that he's got a red button. My red button is bigger. And if he presses his red button, I'm going to blow him to smithereens.
But isn't
that's diplomacy.
That's
Oh,
a
no, it
nuclear
isn't, is it?
deterrent in a nutshell. I mean, it sounds.
My button is bigger.
But it sounds infantile, but it's actually the way that the nuclear deterrent generally works.
It is. And I think actually
You
Kim
know,
Jong.
this is such a male view of the world.
Oh, here we go.
Yes. Men have this thing that they have to bang away at weapons, blow up the world, and that's what matters. Not one woman at the moment in world affairs is destroying the planet.
Well,
all of you lads are doing it. I'm so sick of male power. I am totally sick of male power.
You cannot. We
This is
wouldn't
good,
do
though.
this with other faiths or bits of society where we'd hold the actions of one small portion and then hold everybody
It's
accountable.
men who. It wasn't men who caused the
Every
banking crisis. It was
single person
bankers.
who's
Yeah.
edging us to the Third World War is male.
But you're talking about a tiny percentage of psychopaths, and then you talk about most men living their lives in a largely powerless way.
She
I
might
don't
be
think you can
right here,
equate that.
Jeff. She might be right. We've got to deal with that frightening possibility. Yo-Yo in London. How are you? Up and down?
How are you all?
We're good, Yo-Yo, thanks, yeah. What do you want to say?
Yeah, right. The world will be safer under Trump, indeed. This is the man that asked for his vice president to be hung and killed. Yes, right.
Just listen,
Of
I'm
course
so
not.
bad on sarcasm, so you think the world would not be safer. Yeah, okay.
Of course not. Of course not. You know.
Well, it's we're back on the Rottweiler argument. He's so unpredictable. You think he could actually press a button, and as a result, everyone calms down.
No, everyone dies.
Everyone dies.
But I suppose the thing about having a Rottweiler in
Okay.
in your house is it's true to say that one day that dog might have a bad day.
Well, and as we know from XL bullies, often the first person they attack is their own family, and that arguably happened under the last Trump presidency. Thank you, Yo-Yo. Raymond in North Yorkshire, hi.
Hello.
Oh, you sound very thoughtful about this. You're giving it some thought.
The world's educated to be stupid if they think Donald Trump would make the world safer. The man is a liar. You can never, ever trust a liar. I can forgive a thief because he might have been in your hard times. I can forgive a murderer, crime of passion. But a liar, you can't deal with a liar. Where do you go?
Look, Raymond, I heard his son being interviewed, whatever his name is, Donald Trump Jr. probably, and he was saying you can't argue with the fact that under the last Trump presidency there weren't any new wars.
No, him and Trump and his family have all avoided the draft. They'd run a mile. They'd give everything away.
Well, it's not relevant, is it? I mean, lots of pacifists avoid the draft.
Yeah, but if it comes to putting up against Putin, he would just give in.
Do you think? Well, I think he would probably sell Ukraine down the river. That's true. No, it's not. I don't think disputed. He doesn't. He says Zelensky is the greatest salesman in the world. He says we shouldn't be giving Zelensky all his money.
And Palestine would be obliterated.
Yeah. Well, I think that's probably the way he would see that as that two-state thing as just a pipe dream. Yeah. All right, Raymond. So you would not be voting Trump if you were American?
I've got a lot of American friends, and I'm trying to tell them, get some sense. The man's a coward anyway. He'd run a mile from everything and give everything away. He'd give America away. He'd give everything away as long as he's all right, as long as he can build one of these stupid towers.
Thank you so much. Rosie in Essex, you disagree?
Yeah, I do. Good morning.
Hello.
I think we had 4 years with Trump, and from what I've read and living through those 4 years, he did seem to help make the world more stable. But the other thing as well is that, if we like it or not, I believe he's trying to do the best in his mind for the American people and the Western world. Him and Putin did seem to have some understanding between them.
Yeah.
But he's in politics, I believe, for the right reason. He doesn't need the money. And I think no one's perfect. But I do worry, because what we've had in the past years is, unfortunately, a very ill man who controls the Western world. Yeah. And he must be a puppet or something. There's obviously somebody pulling his strings, because what we've had is a very ill man.
Yeah, well, you're talking about Joe Biden, obviously. Yes, I mean, there's a whole mystery there of whether he is in charge, because he seems not to be, as Trump says, he doesn't even know who he is, let alone anybody else.
Well, Trump's had his moments too during
Well,
the campaign.
yes, of course. I mean, Trump is an old man. Yeah, Rosie, that's a good point that Yasmin makes. Trump's an old guy as well.
He is, but the thing is, when he stands up and speaks, he has more clout than Biden, and there isn't anyone else there who seems to want to take that job.
OK, Yasmin's turn here, because you've been bottling it up really well.
No, I can't. I'm speechless.
OK. Thank you,
I'm
Rosie.
speechless that people believe this of Trump.
Well, he's a campaigner.
Well, but the thing with Biden, there is a slight duplicity, similar with sort of continuity of Obama, is that there are these arms going in certain directions, but on the other hand, there's talk of a ceasefire. I suppose, if you were playing devil's advocate, there is a directness about what Trump's saying, even if you might, as I do, find him distasteful as a person.
I think he would be 100% pro-Israel, which is a powerful...
like I said, Palestine
constituency in the States
would be obliterated.
Yeah, well...
and the world will not put up with it.
But the issue now is not so much about Palestine. It's more about, are Iran and Israel going to get into
I'm
a
sorry.
full-scale war?
You can't just wipe away what Israel is doing. No.
It's
just because
the issue in the last 24 hours is Iran-Israel.
No, I'm sorry. You can't do that. Israel is still at it.
Point taken. OK, thanks for your calls. Gosh, if he comes back in, you're going to need... I won't say medicating, but you are going to need to do some serious Zen
you don't have
mindfulness.
You don't have to accept somebody who you think is...
No, I know, but it's going to be really... I think it's going to be hard for you emotionally if he comes back in. I've got a friend who's an American psychologist, and she said when he first got in, she was getting a number of patients who were having Trump-related breakdowns.
Yeah.
So, but be careful, Yasmin. Later on.